Okay, so now I just have probably 1.5 pounds, maybe 2 pounds of really, really grungy fleece. And you see how it has all this VM and stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and shake out as much as I can on my carding table. Normally I would have the carding table on some workhorses, but I'm just gonna do it like this. We'll have enough space underneath it to shake some of this out. It's no big deal. It's pretty gross. This is an example of how I said that I've had some pretty nasty fleece, but have been able to get real beauty out of it. Also, some of that may have been seconds or stuff that I skirted out, so it's pretty gross. Now pieces like this, here's your VM and so on that you just don't want in there. That kind of looked like a spider to me, but ew. So we're gonna get rid of that off to the side. Get rid of them. Don't hassle yourself with it, because then it takes some of the joy out of trying to process your wool. Take out the big chunks. This may very well have been what I skirted off of there, but for the sake of the demonstration, and that you want your good, greasy, dirty fleece to make your suint as strong as possible. You see how there's tips on there that are pretty grungy and dirty. That's really a combination of all the lanolin that has wicked to the end of the lock itself, and it grabbed onto that dirt because this was not a coated fleece. But that will come out. And this pre-soaking process softens all of that up, and these will come out beautiful. So you have your little bits of sheep poop. You're going to run into that, but this will help actually get it all out. It's not going to come out perfectly, but majority of it will come out in the suint bath. So now we're just going to shake this out a little bit. When we shake it, it goes through that lattice work and it doesn't stay in your fleece. Alright, this right here, a lot of people will come across this, and if you could feel this, which obviously you can't, you'd see that it feels really hard. And a lot of people might say that it's felted or cotted, but if you can pull it out fairly easily, it's salvageable. And this is actually pretty light on the tips on dirt, so toss it in. But if you could feel this, you would feel that it has a lot of lanolin in it, and that's the stuff that you want in that suint. Between the lanolin and the sweat from the sheep, when those two things join together with the water and the temperature outside at a decent temperature, you can use your suint outside anywhere between 30 degrees to about 85, tipping maybe 90. Anything up above that, it starts to get really gucky. But if it doesn't stay that temperature consistently, you're fine. But when that sweat and that lanolin mix together with the water, what it does is it creates a soap. And that soap helps to clean this fleece. So this, as grungy as it looks now, will actually be white later when we get it out of the suint. And we'll be back. Now see, here's some of the tags and stuff we want to get out. And yeah, it seems kind of gross, but if you get a good fleece, we don't want these. It kind of smells like crayons, so it's really not so bad. Wash your hands. If it gets to you, throw some gloves on, no big deal. Have fun with what you're doing. Don't make it gross for yourself. This looks pretty good. A little bit of vegetable matter. Just pluck out as much as we can of that. You see that? Looks kind of gross, but it'll come out pretty when it comes out of the suint. Alright, let's get this laundry bag. Just a cheap little laundry bag. You can get them at a dollar store, you can get them at a grocery store, hobby shops, utility places like Lowe's and Home Depot. They all carry them. Now I'm going to get it to the top, but I'm not going to cram it to where the fleece can't move around. have 2 of these bags, so that's enough. We'll avoid a space on top so I can zip it and nothing gets snagged in that zipper. Now you also want to pay attention for second cuts. Anything that looks like this, like it's short, you want to avoid having those in your bath. If you can avoid, try to take them out whenever possible, because they'll get caught and tangled in with this as it's basically bathing, and then you have to comb it out and take it out. And it just adds to more of the tangling that can happen. See, that I'm not going to put that in. I don't need that kind of headache in here. You're going to have all sorts of stuff, folks. And that looks really grungy, but it'll come out really pretty. Here's some more vegetable matter. Pick out as much as you can. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. I know some of you know that song. See the second cuts coming out? And on we go. Alright, let's zip this one up. Now it looks okay. I don't want that vegetable matter. I don't want those pretty bits. So we'll see. Okay, nice carp in. Some of the foliage fell in there, but no big deal. No loss. Take it out. Don't take it out. I take it out because this Suint bath, once it draws its strength, it starts to break down that vegetable matter that's in your fleece as well. Any type of vegetation that's in there, it's going to add to that and get broken down. But sometimes, if it gets to be so much that's in the water, it can actually throw off the balance that you're making between the sweat and the lanolin, and it starts to create bacteria, and you want to avoid that. So as much vegetable matter and pretty much poop tags and things like that, you want to get that out as much as possible. The urine, the sweat, the lanolin, no problem. But the vegetable matter and anything basically biological, you want to keep out of the water. So let's go ahead and use our rain barrel. We've had good rains here for a while, and our barrel's nice and full, so let's start filling this up. Once I've got it to where it's pretty full, we'll come back and we'll get these bags of fleece in. Bottom now, so it's okay for us to go ahead and put these bags in. Now, if you don't have a rain barrel, that's okay. You don't have to have a rain barrel to do this. Get any of your containers, whatever container you're going to use to put your fleece in. You know the rains are coming. Put it outside in your backyard or somewhere inconspicuous. If it, if you don't want the neighbors to know what you're up to or whatever, just let it rain in there. Get it close to one of your gutters. It'll fill it right up in no time, and then just put a lid on it for when it's time for you to use it. Now, if you know that you're not going to put fleece in the water for more than, I would say, a week, don't collect the water, because it will, somehow the mosquitoes do get in there, so try to avoid adding to that population. Now I know some of you might be wondering, well, what is she doing? She's got the water running on the fleece, and that's okay. The fleece is dry. It hasn't been in a hot situation. In other words, I didn't warm up this fleece with hot water, heating on the stove, or anything like that. So it's coming in its raw form. That cold water, it's just air temperature per se, and it's running on there. But there's so much lanolin on here, it's not going to hurt it, and it's not hitting it directly and hard. So you really don't have any problem with it, with having to worry about it felting or cotting. Cotting is what happens, the tangling at the cut end, closest to the skin of the sheep. And felting is what happens on the tips or throughout the body of the strand or lock that makes it all tangly. So let's go ahead and start smushing this down in. Gently give it a smush. So those air bubbles, whether you smush it down or you just let it set by itself and sink down, either way is fine. As long as you're not manhandling your fleece. And at this stage, it's not going to do a whole lot to it because it's cold water, pH balanced rainwater. It's going to be fine. Just don't act like you're a washing machine and your fleece will be okay. Now you see already that brownish water up against my skin and up against the white of the bag. That's already starting to do its job. And a lot of that is urine and some of the fecal matter that's inevitably stuck in some of this fleece. And just the dirt and stuff that gets caught in an animal's fleece. So we're going to let this run a little bit more. That way there's plenty of space. See how deep this is? We want that water to float around here. Now this isn't very much fleece. Like I said, I could probably get, depending on the type of fleece, I could probably get, I don't know, 4 to 6 pounds, depending on the type of fleece. A hairier, smoother hair-like type fleece, I could probably get about 5 or 6 pounds. Your fuzzy cormos, merinos, 3 to 4, because they're going to bloom a whole lot more than those smooth, long hair lock fleeces, curly fleeces. Really. Now, we'll just let that fill up just a little bit more, probably it's about right here. And then we'll put the lid on, and we'll be back. Alright, I think we've got enough water. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure because it's just floating. They will sink once the water has really seeped it into each of these logs. It'll sink down in there. It's still going to float around though. So, go ahead and get this going. Now this is our starter batch. Brand new water, good to go. This fleece is super greasy and really dirty. It's a really good way to start your suet bath. You want to get the grungiest as far as lanolin and sweat fleece in your first bath as possible. Keep in mind that doesn't mean vegetable matter and the poop tags from the animal, but something that's good and greasy and sweaty are usually the best ones to start your suet bath. When this is done, the water's going to be pretty grungy, but you go ahead, get yourself another grungy fleece, maybe one that's not even as dirty because this is already working, and toss it in. With every fleece that you toss in, the stronger this suet bath gets. Keep in mind, opaque containers, good sealed lid, so that bugs don't get in here and you don't have a maternity ward for mosquitoes or some type of larva to start growing and eating your fiber. And you want to avoid algae and mold from growing in that water. So we're going to go ahead and cap this off, and we're going to let this set because it's the first suet, and it's the virgin bath, the one that's going to make the mother, if you will. We're going to let this set for a week to 2 weeks. I'm going to come off and on after about a week and check this suet to see how well is it going. If I start to see bubbles at the top, if I start to see kind of like a very thin film, then it's ready. If it's still free flowing and there's still really clear water, it can stay in there longer. We just want to make sure we don't have red mold or any algae or black mold growing in the fleece. Then your suet bath is pretty much ruined and your fiber will be too. Alright, let's cap this off and we'll see you in about a week or two. But that's how I do my suet.